Here we are back at Rock and Rattle Retreat. Opening scene. This is where we're starting to build up. Now we started when we put in the footers, building back up. And this is where we started. At least building back up. Putting in those footers. We've gotten away since then. If you haven't been here before, we're on top of a mountaintop. And the mountain's not very high, but there we go. That's where we've gotten so far. A lot of rock. Concrete's done. Still need to even it out a bit. I believe the last one we had like 7 piles of rock. We're down to 1. Trying to fill in some, I don't know what you want to call it, low spots. We're also going to push some of this stuff up, which I think we're still filling in. Now we are working with a BX25. This is a very small tractor compared to an excavator contractor's tractor. You can probably pick this little tractor up with his tractor. But, you know, I can get a few things done when he's not here. We're going to push some up here. We're going to fill in some voids. Try to get a slope going. Get these lumps gone. Smooth it out a little bit. Get a slope going away from the building. Any water coming up here should slope away. If it doesn't, it will go down into the footer drains. So far the footer drains have worked. I have seen water coming out of them after heavy rains. And if you've seen the shorts, there are some of that coming out of the shorts. Now the interesting part is, in that basement there, I got 3 drains. Daylight out next to one of the footer drains. And we had such a rain on that one that it just was pushing it out. It was highly under pressure. That pipe there to the right there is going to go across the driveway in the other spot, or the spot where we already put the footer drains and the septic drain. Just gotta dig it out and put it in. Those are for gutter drains. So I have a lot of drainage down the mountain. Get it away from the building as much as possible. And into the back. We're working on the only pile we got left, which is 57s. What I'm going to do here is, you see there is a spot there on the right that needs rock for the footer drain. But I'm not putting 57s on top of that. I'm putting them back here. You notice to the left here that there is some, I'm going to say bare dirt, but it's not really dirt. Some bare soil. Only weeds seem to grow in it. And it's a lot of rock. But not great rock. And we're going to cover it over with 57s. And as you can tell, it's not very smooth back here. since the excavator's guy's bucket is so big, I figured I'd go with the smaller bucket and fill in a good strip of it, so when he comes back, that's all filled in, and he can finish out the rest of it with his bigger bucket. The smaller bucket will fit in the gap better than the big bucket, because sometimes what he'll do is he'll just put rocks in this one side of the bucket, so he's not getting a full scoop on his bucket, but I get a full scoop on my bucket, and it's smaller and it'll fill in that little gap there. And so you don't see the back and forth travel. We're just doing a lot of edits. So while you guys are watching this, think about subscribing, hitting that like button if you're actually watching it, because if you're watching it, you must like it. Subscriptions help a lot. It tells YouTube, hey, this is a channel worth watching. Now, if it's not worth watching, you're not going to be watching it this far in. You've already turned off. And since you're watching it, you might have a question, or you might have a comment about if I'm doing something wrong, which I probably am, or should have done it this way. Well, it's too late for that, but you can tell me anyhow, because a lot of people do, you know, that kind of comments to other channels and saying, hey, you should have done this. It's like, well, that was done 6 months ago. Well, this is not done 6 months ago, but it's done because you're watching it. So, preview, this is coming up. We pulled this in the other day. Anybody figure out what it is? Look up there at the sign of it. It is a wood gun. Bang bang. No. What do the YouTubers say? So pew pew. No. I will give you more on that later. In the meantime, our excavator came back, and we are trying to push stuff up to the building because he can't get that close to it with his big machine. My little machine could have made it up there closer, but since I don't want to have my little machine out there while his big machine is out there, because I'll get in the way and then he's not as productive, we're doing hand rakes. And here comes the big one. And this is what I was talking about earlier. He's putting stuff in the side of his bucket, not all through the bucket, so that he can get closer with the material to the building. And we're trying to make a slope away from the building. So he's piling more stuff up and trying to slope it away from the building, so any rain is going away from the building. I'm not sure why. I don't know all the physics to it. But underneath that is the footer drain. So if it doesn't go away from the building, it goes down to the bottom, it drains out. And even if it does go away from the building at this point, which is left here, and it soaks down, well, it's going to hit big ledges and probably get pushed back into the building down lower in the ground. I guess it's getting pushed back to the building lower in the ground, so there's not as much going in to the footer drain, but there is going into the footer drain. Having it run away is a good thing. The key is to get rid of it.
Yeah, from there one out to the other
so
end.
we don't have a flood
And then let me work
somewhere.
on this little pile here for a minute. Okay. What's laying there?
We are just doing the touch-up work because that monstrosity cannot get that close to the building, and there is clean out. That's a footer clean out, and there is pipes coming up which are gutter drains that go the same place that footer drain goes. If you don't believe that, go look at some of the shorts. And there's 2 gutter drains right there. And of course down at the other end there is another gutter drain. That was close. Alright, you guys saw me putting some rock over here next to the stairs and sloping it down. Well, I guess that wasn't enough for him. He, of course, thinks there should be a lot more rock because, oh yeah, we have piles of rock. Well, we did have piles. But if there's rock, this excavator contractor wants to use them. Whether or not they're put somewhere where it's like, well, rain's not going to hit there. Because there's a roof that's going over the top of that, and a deck going on top of it. So how is rain getting back there? Well, you don't want it to get underneath there, so we won't want to drain it back in from the front of it. It's like, it's already sloped out. No, gotta fill it in. Now those are the front of the stairs, tamping it in. This stairs is going to be a project in its own, putting a cover over it. Tamping it in so that we know how much is there in the front, because he wants so much there so that we don't have water running into the basement, but you don't want too big a step going up. And if you've been on this channel a while, you probably heard me before saying that last step in that staircase there wouldn't have happened if I didn't say something to the contractors who were doing this, all the flat and the steps. They were not going to put in that last step. They thought it was fine for the step down further. He's lining it up so he can pour some more in here.
So you need to break out what you want in the corner?
Come on, it already slopes out. But we gotta use the rock because we have rock. Break out what you need. That rake is not the best to rake it out. Get it up in the corner. Fill in that hole that you basically made yourself there, because we gotta use up that rock. Never enough rock. Because once you use some, you make another hole somewhere, and then you gotta fill that hole in, and then you gotta move some more and makes another hole. Or should I say a low spot. Now I do a lot of voiceovers on this channel. And would like to know if anybody really likes these voiceovers, or is there enough people that says no, voiceovers just show what's going on. I think there's some explanation needs to be done once in a while, though when I'm sitting here doing the voiceovers I just keep going. Okay, another dump truck of rock. Now I was told this should be the last one I get. This is for actual spring, for when everything has settled down and there's any little holes, divots, low spots. Use this to fill them in. My thought is, there's always going to be divots and holes to fill in. I'm going to need more truckloads to fill in all the holes and divots, because I got a bunch of them just out on the drive going out, which I haven't filled in because I keep getting these big trucks in here that would have just basically made more. So you'll see in later videos, we threw a blue tarp over the top of this puppy. Try to keep as much rain and stuff off of it so it doesn't get very hard, because this is Crusher Run. After it gets rained on a few times, it's very hard to get into this pile with anything. So it was a lot of cleanup, a lot of filling. And look at there. Place has been filled in. Everything's basically cleaned up. I think we're done with the actual excavator work. I still got a few things I gotta do, but that should be it for him. Just waiting for the final bill, if I ever get one. Thanks for watching. Think about subscribing. Leave us a comment on what you want to see or not see, what I did wrong, what I did possibly right, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.